Hello and welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me. I am Karen, the Stitching Owl, here on Flosstube and on Instagram, and I have lots to share with you today. So it's been a busy couple of weeks since we were last together, but it's been very different. As you know, I have finished my BAP. My By the Shore big awesome project is done, and that means that I was changing around how I was stitching and when and what I was stitching. So let's see what I've got done. I want to say, if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you're checking me out. It is lovely to add to our community. For those of you who keep coming back time and time again and are marvelous enough to leave messages, you are indeed my true friends, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for the love and support that you are giving me each and every week. Now, I typically start by talking about the weather, and I'm going to do that today because I got caught up. In the description box below, my Flosstube friends are people that I stitch with on a regular basis, and I will often just refer to as first name and won't typically include their channels, but their channels are definitely worthy of your time, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, Amy and I have been working on temperature stitching throughout the year using Stitchin Mommy patterns. And we're doing the specialty stitches, and I got behind by about a month and a half, and this week I did get caught up. Amy was inspirational with this. So here we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. You can see where it went cold in October, and that in November we're definitely colder. And we have had a couple of snows where the snow actually stayed for a little bit, and then you can see that the temperature goes up a bit and everything melts, and then it goes back down. So this month we're doing a special, it looks like a big X, but it's a woven X because each one of the arms we do 3 times, and we do it in such a way that we layer the middle section so it becomes woven. So this is effective up till like Wednesday of this week. And I will say that the configuration here, I somehow misjudged the centering of the first line. So instead of doing them all centered to this, I went back and forth so that I used my space. That isn't necessarily what Sarah Stitching Mommy had suggested. It just ended up being what I did with this. And these are, of course, my Lazy Daisies from October. So we only have one more stitch to learn, and I know that Sarah was talking about getting a new temperature stitch ready on her last Flosstube. So we'll have to see whether she's got that ready to talk to us about very soon. Now, FFOs, last time I had a number, and this time I do not have any FFOs. I've got some on the way, but not fully finished, so I prefer to show them when they're fully finished, not almost finished. So that takes us on to, onto finishes, and my first finish I can't show you, and I don't have a picture either, because I did indeed finish the Seaside tiny town and got quite excited about it, handed it off to the owners of Stitch It Central and forgot to take a picture before I did so. So you'll have to trust me that it got finished, and I will stitch it again for myself. The tiny towns are just such fun stitches. What else did I finish this week? Well, I have been working on the Noel sampler. It's a Satsuma Street pattern, and I'm stitching on 35 count Floba, which is an even weave with 22 DMC colors, and it is essentially intended to be a true sampler where all of the individual boxes are built together to make one pattern that's 158 by 158, but you know me, I'm separating out each box. And since the last time we were together, I started and finished 2 more. So I've got the heart, I just think that's gorgeous, and the dove. So at this point, as a totality, I've got 8,987 stitches done in my Satsuma Street Noel sampler, which is 63.87%. I will continue to stitch these ornaments through December. I'm not sure if I will get the entire thing done, but I will get it almost done, if not fully. And we'll see about fully finishing those boxes. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you for a finish is my Boomerang bird sal. Oh, by the way, my Noel sampler, I was stitching that, started at Christmas in July, and was stitching it with the Twitchy Stitcher, who has finished it long before now and has fully finished it. Okay. So the Boomerang bird sal is anything bird, butterfly, and bug oriented by Boomerang Stitches. I am doing the ruby-throated hummingbird, and it is finished. So I'm on a 36 count even weave Blue Moon, which is hand dyed by Rolanda. This is 120 by 120 with 23 DMC colors. And I am doing it with Shelia and EJ of the Sunshine Stitchers, Heather, and as well Melanie. Melanie has already finished hers and is planning to frame hers. And Heather, we need to just sort of keep Heather in our thoughts and prayers. She had a whoops moment that caused a break of her dominant arm, and subsequently needed some surgery. So she's trying to figure out how to cross stitch with her left hand, and figures that when all is said and done, she will be able to stitch with 2 hands when she gets the cast and everything off. So we are thinking about you, Heather, and so glad that you joined us on Tuesday and were managing to be so chipper with us. So I'm very, very pleased with those finishes. One of the things that I did with my stitching this time is, instead of trying to stitch on 6 to 8 projects in a day, I would pick something and put in a lot of stitches on a single item rather than 100 stitches on this one and then going on. So there are some pieces that you will not see today because they didn't end up chosen for the intense stitching, but they're in the wait for coming up. So this is the last regular floss tube for mostly for 2025, because December 1 I am starting Flossmas with Karen. We are dividing it up between us so that you'll get the best of both worlds. And I will do a wrap-up video between Christmas and New Year's that is a summarization of the whole year. But technically this is the end of the regular ones for now. I want to just give a little shout out to Laura of Laura's Craft Room, who is actually also Canadian and, might I add, a private piano teacher. I enjoy hearing her chat about preparing for a Christmas presentation and things like that. I remember. So Laura has 3 videos out and already has over 1,000 subscribers. She's doing very well. She has a great variety in her designers. She's got definite interest in modern folk embroidery and Shannon Christine, but there's lots of variety there. So I hope you will give Laura a watch, and I am just pleased to say that Canada Chats is going to be continuing in 2026. Now, there will not be a Canada Chats in December because that is the Jingle Ball weekend and I want us all to gather there. The first Sunday of January, we will reconvene at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And in 2026, I'm going to be inviting other flosstubers to join us. And the first one to join the chat is Laura of Laura's Craft Room, so that we can get to know her better. Okay, now looking around. So I realized partway through this week that I had not been doing a gnome lately. And now, admittedly, I finished the witch gnome in October and then said I would take a break, but then we would come back. And I thought, oh, the gnome along needs to have, I'm dropping my floss, no, needs to have another stitch. So I'm now doing the Santa gnome. Now the gnomes that I am stitching by Soda Stitch come in a pack of like 40. So I've got lots of different Christmas ones that I can do. So right now, well, you can see one foot is Christmas red. His outfit is green, and we've got a good chunk of the gnome's beard in. This little circle here will be an ornament. So it will be easier for me to show you coming up, but I already have 5,214 stitches into the whole 40, which means that I'm at 6.28%. I still have lots of gnomes to do in order to continue to go forward with the gnome along that I'm doing with Laura and Katie. Now, when I'm doing my gnomes, I'm stitching from stash. So it is leftover, this is a leftover Ada cloth. I think it's what I cut off from my cat stocking. Yes, Karen, I actually cut it to size. And I have a fair amount of floss that has come my way that are iris, anchor, and a myriad of other kinds of cottons. So I just use that when I am doing my gnomes or when I'm trying to make cording for around ornaments. So next in line is your Flamazing. So I would say in October, the months are going so fast, they're coming together as a blur. Less than a month till Christmas, people, wow. So in October, Mary, Laura, Karen, and Melanie and I decided that we needed to stitch a Yasmin with Love pattern. Now, we didn't all choose the same pattern. Laura and Mary chose a Gothic bat because we were getting ready for Halloween. And Karen and Melanie, I'm so sorry. Melanie chose a kaleidoscope. Now, I chose your Flamazing, which is a flamingo with beautiful flowers. And I wanted to make sure you could actually see a little bit more than just flowers this time. And indeed, I got the neck of the flamingo in and the beak has started. There's still some more stitches to follow the contour of his neck. And the legs will be coming down here. Now, I am not going to be stitching the words, surprise, but here I've got one more flower to go here, and then it really is just finishing up the flamingo. Now, right here, I have 1,478 stitches in for 42.4%. So this is almost half done. I admit to being purposeful when I picked a pattern for my Yasmin with Love, to pick something that wasn't so big that I couldn't finish it. So I'm trying very hard to get as many things done before December 31st as possible. It doesn't mean that there won't be any starts, particularly of Christmas elements, but it does mean that I am definitely focused on a finish for right now. I have another shout out for Sea Glass and Stitching. So Nicole has 3 videos, and not too long ago she had a Halloween finish parade, which I thought was actually quite delightful. And I know that we're rather in the Christmas mood, but these finishes were amazing, and I hope you'll take a peek. She does like her Primrose Cottage patterns, and of course mini pillow finishes that are so well done, they look professional. And next I have one that has been coming out intermittently, largely because I want to make sure when something comes out that there's enough for you to see that there is a difference from the last time together. So in June, yes, June, I started with Laura, Mary, and Karen, the Strawberry Goose Witch by Fine Frog Stitching. It's got 22 DMC colors and has 4,619 stitches. As a totality, it's 74 by 106, and I'm stitching this on a 25 count metallic azure. So it's opalescent and glittery, and it's a Lugana, so it's 25 count Lugana, and look at this. I have gotten a lot done. So this is one of the things that I've been pulling out daily so that I can focus on a finish here. So the last time we were together, the strawberry bushes were not filled in. They are filled in now. And this center of the bird, which you can see the outline of a strawberry to come, that was not there at all. So now I'm just going to finish the strawberry, what's down here, and ta-da, yes, Kathryn, ta-da, I will be finished. So right now I am at 3,917 stitches, which is 84.8%. So when you last saw this at the end of October, I was at 56% with 2,500 stitches done. So you can see that stitching a couple of hundred stitches a day. I am doing poke and stab with this one because it is 1/1. I am doing a full cross. It is the called for DMCs. But I think it's coming together nicely. And of course, I am so pleased that Elaine of Ellie Welly Stitcher has decided that she just needs to stitch a goose, because we were using the humorous hashtag of Laura's I never thought I'd stitch a goose. Now, I stitched geese back in the day. 1980s was full of geese, but this one is particularly lovely and has more shading than the geese did back then. Often the geese at that point were either just pure white or Canada geese. And next we have another one you haven't seen for a little while. So kind of new things today. It's the Keel-billed Toucan, which is by Mudpuppy Stitchery. So I'm stitching this as a model for Kenzie. Fingers crossed that we can get these things across to her without her paying too much. So this particular piece is a full coverage, which is great because you know I love it. And it's got 1,473 stitches. I'm stitching on a basic 20 count white Aida. And of course, Bethany, who joins me in many bird stitches, has joined me on this one as well. So I was determined to get enough in here that you actually could see a bird today instead of a blob. And indeed, you've got the chest here, one paw, foot. We'll go with foot. So 1 foot here, and we've got a nice bill in there. Now this right here is background, so I'm going to be filling in a lot of that to make up this particular pattern as a full coverage. Now, when Bethany did hers, she decided she was going to choose a colored cloth and not stitch any of the background, which is perfectly legitimate. I'm trying to stitch it as is because it's a model, but I totally understand. So I'm using the called for colors and 1 strand of DMC on 20 count white Aida. Now, I've got an interesting thing to tell you about. So, you're all aware that I've had my challenges with Pattern Keeper since June. And this Keel-billed Toucans is one of the patterns that when it went into Pattern Keeper, apologies for the barking, when it went into Pattern Keeper, each symbol was there between 4 and 8 times. And when you go to highlight an area, you might have 3 blacks from this symbol, 5 blacks from that symbol. So one area that is like 10 by 12 of black could actually have X's in all different 8. So it's frustrating because it actually takes me quite a while to just mark off which stitches I have done. So as of yet, I have not heard from Pattern Keeper. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the finish and get as many of the patterns out of Pattern Keeper as is logical. And then I'm just going to take it down and put it in again, even if I have to buy it again to see whether it will work if it's just not that same thing. Now, the reason that I brought all this up with Keel-billed is Christmas has arrived early in this household. My husband asked me what I wanted for Christmas and had noted over the last little while that I'm kind of frustrated with my iPad because it is over 6 years old and has limited memory supply, and the edges are actually going very dim and smudgy, which is our warning that it's going to someday just stop. So he asked if I would like him to purchase an iPad. So he did, and it did arrive on Tuesday, I believe. And he's not making me wait till Christmas so that we can migrate everything from this iPad to the new iPad and not risk losing anything. So we did the migration, and then Dee and I decided, let's put Markup RXP on the new iPad so that if for some reason Pattern Keeper just doesn't work in this household, we don't know why, but if it doesn't, then I've got another program that I can work with. So we, of course, did an experiment, and we put in my Skating Santa, and it went in fine. And I said, oh, okay, so let's try putting in some more. So I put in the Keel-billed Toucan, and it had the same problem. Each of the symbols is there about 8 times. And indeed, one of the things that Dee noticed was that the A symbol, which is 310, each time it shows on the color grid on the side, it looks slightly different and blurry in a different way. So we don't know whether it's the original file that is the problem. It certainly should not be an iPad that just came into the house. And I was careful to take the pattern directly from Kenzie's email so that it had not gone through the old iPad first to try and prevent this from happening. So my story is that the Keel-billed toucan is taking me longer to stitch because I'm still fighting with the program. I ended up just taking it out of Markup RXP because it just didn't make sense to me to actually spend the time doing that. Yeah. So there you go. On the plus side, I asked my husband about using his Facebook so that I could join Whip Warriors and possibly do the Hay Challenge. And my husband said, did you personally delete the entire login? And I said, well, no. They said they were, and that I wasn't allowed to use it. He said, go back in and see whether it's still there. And it was, and it's usable. So I have joined Whip Warriors, yay. In looking at the full coverage Hay Challenge for 2026, the two pieces that I particularly liked and thought those would be fun to do are actually AI generated. And I don't have a problem with AI when it clearly shows who the original artist is and that the artist has given permission or indeed did the AI themselves. But I'm not seeing that. So I have a feeling that I'm not going to do the Hay Challenge even though I want to join Connie. But Connie, I promise that I will get extra full coverages going. I bought one with sheep the other day. So yes, it's going to be very, very pretty. So I will have more than one large full coverage going next year, and we'll see how that goes. But I don't think I'm going to be doing the Hay Challenge. One more shout out to Sheri Lesh. She has 11 videos and recently had an autumn finish parade, which is like, I really was very impressed with it. She is a multi-crafter who loves to quilt, and she also owns a knitting machine. Although if I remember correctly, the knitting machine and her long arm might both be giving her mechanical challenges right at the moment. So if I remember, I think she was a little frustrated that day with that. Great variety in her choice of projects and fabulous FFOing. My next pattern to show you is my Crown Chakra, which is a pattern by Harmony Home and Heart, and they're a .com. So this is the one that was sent to me by Edith, and that where I was invited to choose my own color scheme, and I decided to pink it up for Kim. Now this is a mandala, and I did go all the way around again. Now, if you see, I am creating an ombre effect, but not just gradually going out. So I went back to a lighter pink after this round. I did a lighter one, and then it'll go dark and then darkest again. Now each round is clearly taking longer because each round has more stitches each time. So I am not sure I will get all the way around within a 2-week period, but I know I will be making progress. So what I will do when I am doing my Flossmas videos is I will show my non-Christmas stitches if I get at least 500 stitches in or a finish, so that you can keep track of where I am in my focus on a finish for the end of 2025. So I am continuing to enjoy this. This is a 20 count Aida cloth again, or Aida, and I am using one strand. It's a full X. And I am, if I just hold it close, you can see that I have spots here. I'm going to order some particularly small beads so that this can be sparkled up a bit. So right now I'm at 3,106 stitches for 43.59%. So which the last time you saw it, it was 23.25%. So that was about 1,500 stitches that went into that guy. Now another piece that I was spending a lot of time on was my reindeer. As you know, Leigh has already finished hers, and we did start this as a Christmas in July project, but mine went very wrong, so I did a restart. And I am actually quite happy, though I have certainly discovered this week that when I stitch white on this background, I do find that particular element difficult. So this is Year in the Woods #1 by Cottage Garden Sampling. It is number 12, the reindeer, and I'm stitching it on a 36 count. Yes, you guessed it. It's an even weave hand dyed by Rolanda. It's 11 DMC colors, and it's 100 by 130, the same size as all of the rest of them. And this is what I have so far. Look at that. The whole reindeer is in, and I've got most of the grass in, but I now have to work on putting in the snowdrop flowers, and those are a little hard for me. Yeah, there's just something that my eyesight goes a little blurry when I'm working white on this, and I'm not entirely sure why. So I'll just take my time, and I won't show this again till it's actually finished. So I've got the snowdrops, a few snowflakes, and I've got a log cabin here to put in. But then barring that, it is finished. So this is now 91% done, and I've got 5,146 stitches in, and I put in at least 1,600, maybe even 1,700 stitches since you last saw it. So again, this is one that I've been pulling out every day and wanting to make sure that this one is finished before the end of the year. Right now, I have about 16 whips, and I have so many starts that I want to do, and I mentioned some of them the last time. One of the starts that I forgot to tell you about I'm doing with CJ, Works by ABC. She had in the August new pattern release a floral mandala, which is the color wheel. So floral bouquet, I think is what it's called. And a picture of it will go up. And I just was like, oh my, it is absolutely gorgeous. And every quilter wants to have a color wheel on their wall. So I want to do this, and I enticed CJ to come along for that. And as a matter of fact, she's not waiting for me. She's already put her first stitch in. I'm going to wait until I get some more of these other things finished before I go on. And I will say, I will be starting new Christmas ornaments in December. I'm just not starting other outside of Christmas stitches. Now my last stitch, ooh, this could be a shorter video. Look at that. Deborah, you're gonna love it. My cat stocking, I did not show the last time. When I finished my By the Shore, the cat stocking became my middle of the night stitch. And I worked at putting approximately 500 stitches in per night. So this is Cat at the Window Christmas Stocking, Cross Stitch Kits Alla. It's got 40 DMC colors and is full coverage. I'm doing it on an Ecru Ada, but I mean we're covering it all up. And I'm stitching this with Sarah of Stitchy Spot, and I'm about to apologize to Sarah. What is there to apologize for? Well, it's not going to be a stocking, Sarah. I'm sorry. I looked at this the other day and said, you know, except for that little looking off at Santa against the moon, this particular piece doesn't shout Christmas. So if I make it into a hanging that is not a stocking shape, then my kiddo can actually have it up all year round rather than just bringing it out for like 5 weeks of the year. Look at how far I've gotten. Is that not amazing? So the entire cat is in. and I've got my roses. They look like Delft roses. So right now I have the tablecloth that he's sitting on, and then this will come down at the bottom. You can see I put in just enough for you to be able to see. So right here I have 17,614 stitches for 74.34%. The last time you saw it at the end of October, it was 9,000 stitches. So I have put in over 6,000 stitches since we were last together, and that does make sense for 500 a night. So I do think that I can get this done. My kiddo's not coming till the 27th to celebrate the Christmas season, so that gives me an opportunity to have that extra couple of days to finish it and FFO it for him. So I'm super pleased with this one. So that is all of my stitching. I already mentioned my Flossmas. I am going to also mention my Stitch 26, which is a New Year's Day stitchy gathering. I have joined with Alison of Mrs. AZ Family Zoo, and we are gathering different names with their emails for this particular event. Now the afternoon has been quite popular, the morning not as much, and we began to think that maybe if you stayed up till midnight, 9 o'clock in the morning might be that little bit too early. So we have changed the first meeting of the day to 10 o'clock in the morning, and we are almost at full for the afternoon. So we will fill up the morning next, and then Alison has said she will do an evening stitch together if there is more people that are wanting to stitch. If Alison is evening, it's quite late for me, so chances are she would do that one on her own. But likewise, I can do my one early for those people on the in New Zealand and Australia. So Stitch 26, and Alison is providing a free pattern for the people that attend. You do not have to stitch it during this. You get to stitch whatever you want, but there is going to be a free pattern, and I already have it and have started, and I'm really enjoying it. My last announcement for today has to do with Canada Swaps 4. Even though the situation with Canada Post is not ideal, I do believe that we will still go forward with Canada Swaps 4 and keep our fingers crossed that by March we can pretty much depend on the mail delivery. So there will be a short video to welcome the whole announcements with regards to Canada Swaps 4, and I will invite people in December to follow the instructions on that video so that you can sign up for this experience. I've really enjoyed being able to have Canada Swaps bring Canada together. I'm going to let you know that in 2026, I am letting Whip go, and I'm probably going to let the magazine monthly challenge go as well. And instead, Michael of Uplift Stitches is creating a game that I'm going to join in, and Steph of Fine Fox Stitchery has an absolutely wonderful game that you can actually start right now. I might start it just using one of my other stitches just to get the flavor of the game, but I do encourage you to go to Fine Fox Stitching and watch her Flosstube extra that explains this particular game. She first of all, she's got just such a musical voice. And the way she tells the story that she and her kids have come up with and how it all unfolds, it's just magical. And she's been really, really good with me because initially I thought I wasn't going to be able to do anything with regards to Facebook. She sent me everything on email, but Steph, look at that. I will hunt you up in Facebook and try and join your group as well. Thank you for conversing back and forth with me. She is absolutely phenomenal. I've actually watched several of her videos going back in time, and I'm really impressed with her stitching. She does love a good full coverage, as do I. In the moment for music today, we are going to have a miniature by Kulak. So he's in the romantic style of writing, and during the 1800s, a lot of the composers, they were starting to do compositions that reflected their experiences. In the classical and Baroque periods, when composers were creating, they were creating for a very specific situation, like for the church service or for a ball or for a royal gathering. And so they would be receiving money from a patron who was literally giving them their living expenses so that they could compose for the different events in their life. And they didn't really get that much choice over what they were composing. And Beethoven was one of the first that was starting to go, oh, I want to be me. So he adjusted the patron system, and then he composed all the piano sonatas purely for his own enjoyment, which I think is absolutely lovely. And then many of the composers in the Romantic period, as they sought to be more expressive of themselves than expressing others' wants, they would put together a series of miniatures that had to do with their childhood. So like Schumann has scenes from childhood, Pinto, and this is Kulak, scenes from childhood. And today's miniature is number 7, The Angels in the Dream. So whether the child is daydreaming and snoozing or whether this is at night, I hope you enjoy this somewhat ethereal presentation. That is it for today. Not as long as normal. And I just realized it's probably because I forgot to bring down all of my acrostics and things like that. I think for today I will leave it, and I will embrace the acrostics in I Spy in December. And we'll just say that this is a slightly shorter video, and I hope that this video finds you well and looking forward to the holidays. The Americans have a wonderful Thanksgiving going on today, and we all have Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. There's many different ways to celebrate life and family. Having said that, I do know that some people are experiencing a loss, and my heart does go out to Carlene and Marlene of the Sun City Stitchers, who recently lost their sister to cancer. There are people who will feel an empty space in their heart as they go towards these holiday seasons. If you're in need of a stitchy friend, whether we chat our way through the stitching or just have a companionable silence, please let me know that you are in need of companionship, and I would be happy to be there for you. And here we are. I do hope that today, as you were watching the video, that you had fabric, floss, and needle in hand, so that as you made something beautiful, you were making yourself happy. Bless you all. We'll see you December 1st.